All right, so to pick up practicing, we have the integral from 1 to 3 of 5x to the third dx. So step 1 is we integrate. The integral of 5x to the third is 5x to the fourth over 4. And then I'm going to evaluate from 1 to 3. Evaluate top minus bottom. So I have 5 times 3 to the fourth, which is 81, over 4, minus 1, which is going to be 5/4. Okay, so 5 over 81 minus 4. Wait, 5 times 81 over 4. And then minus 5 is, all right, so I'm going to get 400 over 4. So that turns into 400 over 4, which gives me an answer of 100. So again, the area under this curve, which looks like this, and we're going to go from 1 to 3. So 1 to 3, that area is worth 100 square units. Okay, so I've got the area of the region between -8 and -1. And our region is 3 minus the cubed root of x dx, but I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that as the integral from -8 to -1 of 3 minus x to the 1/3 dx. And that just makes it easier. So the integral of 3 is 3x minus the integral of x to the 1/3 is going to be x to the 4/3 over 4/3, which is times 3/4. So I've got x to the 4/3. Okay, so going from -8 to -1, do the top one first. So if I evaluate at -1, 3 times -1 is -3, minus -1 to the 4th power is +1, and its cubed root is +1. So that's just minus 3/4. Minus, evaluate at -8, so 3 times -8 is -24, minus, and then if I take the cubed root, so I'm going to do the root first, the cubed root of -8 is -2. -2 to the 4th is 16. Okay, so when I put all that together, let's see what we got. I have -3 minus 3/4 plus 24 plus 3 times 16 over 4, and I get 32.25. Okay, so 32.25, or if we get that in 129/4. Okay, you can't see what I'm writing. There you go. All right, few more. I have the integral going from 1 to 4 of 2 over the square root of x. So remember, as soon as I see that I've got a fraction, I always see if the derivative of the bottom is in the top. Well, the derivative of the bottom would be 1/2 x to the -1/2, which is not anywhere close to being in the top. So I'm going to bring that denominator up top with a negative exponent. So I have 2x to the -1/2. Okay, so it's x to the 1/2 because of the square root, but it's negative because I brought it up top. So the integral of x to the -1/2 is going to be x to the +1/2 over 1/2 means times 2. So that gives me 4 times the square root of x. I'm going to take that from 1 to 4. So 4 times the square root of 4, square root of 4 is 2, times 4 is 8, minus 4 gives me an answer of 4. Okay? All right. Ooh, let's do some e's. All right, so we're going to go from 0 to 5. So I've got the integral from 0 to 5 of 4e to the x. So remember, the integral of e to the x, I may have to balance. My u is my exponent, which is x. So take the derivative of both sides. That means all I need is a dx. That's what I've got. So the integral of 4e to the x is just 4e to the x. So I have 4e to the x, and I'm going to evaluate from 0 to 5. So I get 4e to the 5th minus 4e to the 0. Well, any number to the 0 power is 1. So I get 4e to the 5th minus 4 times 1 is just 4. So just leave that in that form. All right, so we're going to integrate with an e again. So remember, if I've got an e to the x, do I have its derivative? The derivative of the exponent is 1 dx, and I've got the dx. So the integral of 8e to the x is 8e to the x, minus the integral of x is going to be minus x squared over 2. So take that from 5 to 8. So the first one with substitution, I get 8 times e to the 8th minus 64 over 2 is minus 32, minus 8e to the 5th, okay, minus 25 over 2. Okay, so I end up with 8e to the 8ths minus 8e to the 5ths. And then 32 is going to be 64 minus 25. Should be 39. All right, so minus 39 over 2. Okay, so that one is done. All right, so now the last handful we're taking it out of the summation, or out of just the function format, and now we're actually doing definite integrals, which I've been doing the whole time anyway. Okay, so you were practicing how to set them up. Well, now they're already set up. So I've got going from 5 to 9 of 6dx. So what's the integral of 6? It is 6x, and I evaluate from 5 to 9. So 6 times 9 is 54 minus 6 times 5 is 30, so I get 24. All right, what if I have the integral from negative 6 to 6 of negative 6 dx? So the integral of 1 dx is x, but that negative 6 is coming along for the ride, so I get a negative 6x. Going from negative 6 to positive 6, so negative 6 times 6 is negative 36 minus, okay, negative 6 times negative 6 is going to be positive 36, so negative 6 minus 36 is negative 72. Couple more. All right, so we're going to find the indefinite integral. So I'm going to integrate negative 1 dx. I like to put, if it leads off negative, I like to use parentheses anyway, just because it looks like s minus 1, which is weird. All right, so the integral of negative 1 becomes negative x. Since this is an indefinite integral, we need to use our plus c. Okay, so this integral is negative x, and then since it's indefinite, we say plus c. Then when I evaluate the definite integral, I've got negative 2 to 7 of negative 1 dx. Well, we already know that it integrates to negative x, but now we're going to evaluate. So negative x from negative 2 to 7 gives me a negative 7 minus negative 2 is 2. So I get negative 7 minus 2 is negative 9. All right, so let's try it again. We have 2 minus x dx. So 2 minus x dx, we're going to do the indefinite integral first. So the integral of 2 is 2x. The integral of x is x squared over 2 plus c. And now we're going to do the definite integral, going from negative 10 to 2 of 2 minus x dx. Well, we already know what it integrates to. So it's a 2x. minus x squared over 2, but we're going to evaluate from negative 10 to 2. So when I evaluate at 2, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 2 squared is 4, over 2 is 2. And now evaluate at negative 10. 2 times negative 10 is negative 20, minus negative 10 squared is 100, over 2 is 50. So I get 4 minus 2 is 2, minus negative 70 gives me 72. Okay, evaluate the definite integral. I'm sensing a pattern here. All right, so I've got going from 0 to 2 of 8x to the third dx. Means my integral becomes 8x to the fourth over 4, which is 2. And I go from 0 to 2. So 2 to the fourth is 16, times 2 is 32. Minus, evaluate at 0, and it zeroes out. So your answer is 32. We got just a couple more. All right, so we've got 7x to the negative 3 halves. And I'm going to find the indefinite integral first. So I integrate negative 3 halves plus 1 is negative 1 half. So I get 7x to the negative 1 half divided by negative 1 half means times negative 2. So that becomes negative 14 x to the negative 1 half. Oops, plus c. Okay? So that was the indefinite integral. The definite integral, we're going to go from 1 to 16. So the definite integral from 1 to 16 of 7x to the negative 3 halves, well, we already know that that's a negative 14 x to the negative 1 half, going from 1 to 16. So I get negative 14 over, remember this is the square root, but it's in the denominator. So the square root of 16 is 4, but it's in the denominator. Minus. So I have negative 14, and then 1 to any power is 1. So I get negative 14. So negative 14 fourths is going to be negative 7 halves, plus 14 is going to be 28 halves. 28 halves minus 7 is 21 halves. Okay? 21 halves. And then the last one, because I accidentally skipped one, is going from negative 4 to 4 of x squared minus 3 dx. So the integral of x squared is x to the third over 3 minus 3x. We're going to go from negative 4 to 4. So 4 to the third is 64 minus 3 times 4 is 12. Negative 4 to the third is negative 64. And then negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. So this becomes plus and negative. So 64 thirds plus 64 thirds is 128 thirds. Negative 12 minus 12 is minus 24. So I end up with 56 thirds by the time I get a common denominator. 56 thirds. All right, so that, my friends, is section 6.4.